Greetings, everyone. This is Umby back again with week number 7 of the VGC Draft League. If you watched the last video, again, this is a double-header day for me. And technically, this is out of order because I played my week 7 match before my week 6 match due to delays here. But we're up against vyzed for this week, who's actually a newcomer. They took over a team from the Ghost Guy, and the only change they made for the team is that they traded their Regilecki for the Landorus Incarnate here. Which is a little bit troublesome for my squad, if we're being honest, with the threat of it versus Heatran, Sandy Shocks, and Iron Thorns, and then holding on to Sludge Bomb for something like a Rillaboom to come in. It does a lot of work, has a lot of coverage, and does a lot of damage into my team that I can't sustainably deal with, quite honestly. So if it comes into the field, I have to have a way of immediately dispatching it while still dealing with the other threats on the field. Now, with them being a newcomer, I don't know completely what to expect from them. Obviously, they have the ice mode with the snow mode with Abomasnow to Titan. The previous week, they didn't spec into that, so I don't fully expect it, but I did want to make sure I was prepared for it. So with that, you're going to see a lot of Terra Ice on this team. Terra Blast, Terra Ice on Heatran, Ice Punch, Terra Ice on Iron Thorns, and even Terra Blast Ice on the Salamence, which is Choice Scarf, just to make sure that I get ahead of Landorus wherever I can. We're also getting Fletchinder some stage time here. Just getting some priority Tailwind could just allow me to clear with like Iron Thorns or Heatran. That's another way for me to get around the Landorus. A little bit hopeful there, but also helps me counteract the Slush Rush from the Titan if they do decide to go for it. But I'm pretty well insulated versus the Ice mode with these 3 Pokemon alone. So we have to kind of solve for everything else outside of that, which there's not really a lot. There's Amoonguss, which we've got the safety goggles on the Heatran for, and then there's Espathra and potentially Bellybolt, right? The Espathra is the one that's like, it's not scary, but it's also scary if they get too far ahead. So we're keeping some contingency with the Rillaboom with the Assault Vest, which we bring week after week as per usual, just so we can sustain a little bit of that damage. And also Vaporeon. Getting some Calm Minds down while they're getting some Calm Minds down may help to counteract that. But if I was actually really worried about Espathra, I'd carry Haze in that slot instead. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of feel this one out. We played this one pretty early in the week. We're getting late into the season, we're getting a little bit tired. So this one I played a little bit haphazardly and just kind of want to see if I could force my way through with heavy offensive options from the Heatran, Thorns, and the Salamence. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how that went though. Alright, game number 1, and we're showing my opponent is opting into Bellybolt, Landorus, Clodsire, Espathra, Frostmoth, one of my personal favorites, and Amoonguss here. Frostmoth was something that I was kind of keeping an eye on because ideally my Heatran is something that's kind of a commodity here. But if they use something like Wide Guard on the Frostmoth, I'm in trouble. So even here, you see instead of Heat Wave like usual, I did opt for Flamethrower just in case, just in anticipation of that. But nonetheless, game number 1, and we're leading off against their own Frostmoth and Landorus here. I'm gonna lead off with my Rillaboom and my Iron Thorns. So I know I have Ice Punch to deal with the Landorus there. I know I have Rock Slide I can just spam as well. And I also know that I can take a Sludge Bomb from the Landorus. So with the Rillaboom with the Assault Vest. So I go for Fake Out just for safety. Go for the Rock Slide, hoping I could take out the Frostmoth very quickly. If it's something like Terra Water, it just puts itself under threat there. So there's not too much coming out from that slot. Now with 2 ground types on the field, I need to make a hasty retreat with my Iron Thorns into the Salamence, just in case. Sludge Bomb goes into the Rillaboom as expected, and we don't mind that. Knock off onto the Clodsire though, just to get rid of those leftovers. And Curse is what's showing from the Clodsire here. Not too worried about that. I did a hefty amount of damage with that knockoff, and with Terra Ice, I should be able to get past that later on. But I'm gonna go ahead and aim that into the Landorus, get that off the field, which should allow me to attack with the Rillaboom. I go for the U-turn just to check it, and I get to go into the Iron Thorns. They go for another Curse. Curiously enough, they're at 50% health now, so a double up from both of these Pokemon with Ice moves should be more than enough to really to deal with it. Terra Electric shown from the Bellybolt here, going on the offensive. Terra Blast, even with those 2 curses, does a ton of damage from the Salamence. Ice Punch follow-up, more than enough to take it out. So pretty clean turn there. The parabolic charge goes in, would have affected the Clodsire there, but it's gone off the field. Or wouldn't have affected the Clodsire because it's a ground type, but it didn't matter because now it's off the field. We're expecting to protect from the Frostmoth though, so we can launch another parabolic charge. So we just go ahead, launch attack straight into the Belly Bolt here. Not under threat of being KO'd anytime soon. And unfortunately for them, they get flinched by that Rock Slide. All right, so that buys me another turn. I get to Rock Slide and Terra Blast freely here to close out the game. All right, yeah, I think the critical hit flinch, while it was unfortunate, I was still in control of the match. The parabolic charge doesn't KO the Iron Thorn, so I get another turn to Rock Slide the Frostmoth, unless they do have the Wide Guard, in which case it gets a little bit dicey. But I think I was still in control of match number 1. But we go into match number 2. See if they can claw that back. This time, I get a little bit goofy. I go for the Fletchender and Iron Thorns, trying to get that Tailwind up and see if I can outspeed my opponents and go from there. The Amoonguss though shows for the first time alongside Espathra. I expect to protect so I can get that speed boost there, but they don't really care. So Ice Punch into the Amoonguss, get some pretty good damage there while they get a chance to Calm Mind. Spore goes into the Iron Thorns, but just finds my Lumberry, so I wake up immediately here. But with a +1 from Calm Mind and +1 from their speed boost there, they're still going to, there's no need for them to protect at this point. They go for another Calm Mind. All right, so I go for a Rock Slide, get some chip damage onto the Espathra and the Amoonguss. Not enough to KO the Amoonguss, so I do have to double up with Brave Bird from Fletchender. It's going to break my Gale Wings, unfortunately, but it does make sure that the Amoonguss goes down. Meanwhile, Stored Power with +2 special attack, +2 special defense, and +2 speed versus my low special defensive stat means that Iron Thorns gets KO'd immediately. So now we're in a little bit of trouble here, especially as Tailwind's about to go down, and especially because it didn't really matter versus a +3 speed Espathra at this point. So Brave Bird not going to find his target as they finally do get the protect here. The Volt Switch shows from the Belly Bolt to clean knock out the Fletchender as expected. And they go into Landorus, which shows. All right, so we've got a little bit of work here. The Espathra can just run away with the game at this point. I don't really have anything to full-on resist it. All I've got left is the Heatran, and to not get hit by the Earth Power, I have to Terra Ice here. That means I also have to target the Lando so it doesn't do any more damage past what it's already doing. But that also means that Espathra gets to attack freely. So there was a decision-making process there that's really hard to call, so I just kind of went with my gut, and it didn't pay off, unfortunately, because now I no longer resist the Stored Power. But I need to get that KO on the Landers, otherwise I don't really have too much I can really do. If they double up with Sludge Bomb and Stored Power into the Rillaboom, like assuming that Stored Power doesn't take it out, then what would I do? I think I was pretty much just stuck there by the time I lost the Fletchender, not having the Gale Wings to attack any further, or even to protect to outplay the Belly Bolt in that one turn that it did KO me. Just kind of left me with as few resources to really do anything at that point. Also didn't really respect the Espathra, so that also factors into the game as well. And we go into game number 3, where I have to try and make up for my mistakes and see if I can prevent an 0-2 on consecutive weeks. All right, and here we go with Rillaboom and Heatran, just playing this one safe, steady, while they go for Espathra and Belly Bolt. Belly Bolt, who's been kind of a champion for them. We expect that there might be a protect from the Espathra this time, but you just have to keep them honest, go for the fake out either way. Volt Switch into the Heatran as a protect. So still, we were kind of covering all bases while kind of expecting a hopeful turn there. They leave off the field. They move the Espathra off the field in favor of the Amoonguss there. Can't really call the thought for it, but a double up from Flamethrower Drum Beating puts the Amoonguss within 2-shot range here. Volt Switch critical hits the Heatran, a little bit unfortunate, lets them get into the Landorus here. We're still expecting a Sludge Bomb onto the Rillaboom, but we have to kind of keep them honest, just as the same as usual. Protect on the Heatran just in case the Earth Power was aimed in that direction, and we get a Drum Beating into the Landorus. It's going to slow them down and then allow my Heatran to attack the next turn. But at this point, I wish I really was carrying the Heat Wave. Possibly was just too worried about the potential Wide Guard. I just didn't want to lose to a Frostmoth of all things, you know. But yeah, heat wave would have saved me quite a little bit of trouble there. I believe get some chip damage onto this belly bolt, and not have to like call this switch or call the protect so I can target the belly bolt, right? But I get to get my Salamence in safely here. But this is where it gets a little bit tricky because the Amogus is still alive, can still use Rage Powder if it really wants to. I decide I'm going to use my Iron Thorns, going to position my Iron Thorns so I can get a Rock Slide off and get some chip damage in. They end up using Parabolic Charge, which I get to resist with my Iron Thorns, but I get critical hit there as well, unfortunately, so I can't really survive too much more of this abuse here. But I'm still in a pretty good spot. If they try and Spore, Iron Thorns still has Lumberry intact. I get to Earth Power with the Belly Bolt. The really unfortunate part here is that the Belly Bolt has been able to survive and thrive off of this grassy terrain and heal up and survive some of these attacks. Another Parabolic Charge, that unfortunate crit put it in range of getting KO'd just there, and also my Heatran does go down, and it gets a pretty decent amount of healing off of that Parabolic Charge as well. So now it's down to Salamence and my Rillaboom coming back in, resetting that grassy terrain for them. But they also have the Espathra there. So this is where things get a little bit troublesome. I have to make a call here. I go for Terra Ice, Terra Blast into the Belly Bolt slot, really just expecting that the Protect is coming here from the Espathra. But fortunately, they end up switching into the Landorus, which then allows me to KO that slot as soon as it comes in. Now at this point, we realize that there are choice specs, Belly Bolt. So we're hoping that we can get a KO here. But we have to double up this Espathra slot. That's the unfortunate reality here. So we go for a double up there. The Thunderbolt is more than enough, especially with Terra Electric, to take me out. And then all that's left is Rillaboom to try and resist this Belly Bolt and KO it. Drum Beating goes in, barely survives again. The grassy terrain showing it's being detrimental to me instead. And the Thunderbolt KOs my Rillaboom. Belly Bolt hangs on by a hair and becomes the hero of this story. So well played to my opponent, vyzed. Again, another game full of missteps from my end. I don't think I played the game number 3 too terribly, but my game plan could have definitely been crafted a little bit better. Again, I did just try and kind of bum rush this particular matchup, try and force my way through, and it didn't pay off into the end. So that one's on me. We go down to 5-2, but that's another L we have to take and another L we have to make up for, as we have 2 more weeks left in this competition. But yeah, my opponent was nice enough to share their team. We do see it is Choice Specs Belly Bolt with Terra Electric. We even show that they're going the quiet nature, just to make sure that they take a hit to activate Electromorphosis and make their electric attacks much more devastating. So respect to that. I don't think it was really needed versus my team because it's not really all that slow, but it doesn't hurt, right? Like you're not putting any investment into speed anyway at any point, so that's fine. The Landorus, as we expected, was going to be a problem. We were able to circumvent it through the Assault Vest and through the Terra Ices all around, so that plan came to fruition. But by having to spec so heavily in dealing with the Lando, left me short on resources for dealing with things like Espathra and Belly Bolt, which, I mean, to be fair, Iron Thorns and Rillaboom were there to resist it, but got a little bit unlucky with the damage rolls and the critical hits and the grassy terrain healing it back up to ranges where I couldn't KO it from. But yeah, nothing too the ordinary from there. We see Terra Fire from the Frostmoth to help it resist the Heatran. Hopefully there were damage calcs done, because the ice scales, even with Akaberry, I would be skeptical whether or not it survives like a full power Heatran, especially with no HP investment to go alongside it. But if they've done the damage calcs already, more power to them. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think the one thing you have to consider though is, even with Quiver Dance, Ice Beam, Giga Drain, even if you take that flamethrower from the Heatran, what do you really hit back with? You still have to also worry about the Rock Slide from the Iron Thorns. The Amogus was fortunately ineffective. We were able to get around the Spore and the Rage Powder thanks to Rock Slide and Lumberry, and also the safety goggles from the Heatran. So that was very fortunate. Really, the stars of the game were the Belly Bolt. Just did too much damage that I didn't respect or was planning to survive. Just got a little bit unlucky there, I believe. And also the Espathra, who I just full on didn't respect. And you saw game number 2, they just kind of disrespected me in turn and ran away with the game. Like no protect needed. Just got the Calm Mind boost very early on, and from that point I just couldn't stop them. So again, well played from my opponent. Good luck in the next weeks. You got a little bit of ground to make up for it for games or weeks number 8 and 9. And I know week number 8 may be a particularly tough matchup for me, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Either way, if you like this content from me, just leave a like and a comment below. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.